Hello, I'm Vivian from ANU Academic Skills. Welcome to our video about preparing for exams. It's useful to start preparing for exams right from the very start of semester because preparation is key to make sure that you understand all of what the exam is asking you to do. Find out first what the ANU rules are. So find out things like where and when the exams are going to be held, what to do if you happen to get sick before the exam, and if you need special assistance. There's plenty of advice on the ANU website, and there's also advice about how to sit online exams if, for instance, your course is using Proctorio. Find out all that you can about your exams early on. Consult your class summaries, your Waddle sites, and your conveners to find out what kind of exam is it going to be, what kind of questions are you going to be asked, is it going to be online or is it going to be in person, how long is it, and how much is it worth in terms of your total course grade. Knowing those things before you sit the exam is going to help you prepare for how much time you allocate to your study. So once you know those things, start thinking about your overall semester planning. You might, for instance, allocate time each week in preparation for exams that are held at the end of semester. So right from the very start of semester, in week 1, you might start doing that revision as you go in order to sit your exam right at the end of semester comfortably. And that goes hand in hand with thinking about your summarising and note-taking. Ideally, your summarising and note-taking strategies will look something like what I've got on the screen, where your highlighted sections would be nice and concise, and you would be able to take very clear notes for yourself. However, what you'll find is that you'll be very tempted to highlight lots of things because you'll feel that everything is important. So what you want to do is make sure that you develop a note-taking strategy that works for you so that you don't come back to your notes at the end of semester and just see a wall of yellow highlighter, for example. So instead, what we recommend is that you consider using the Cornell note-taking system. Now, the Cornell note-taking system is where you break your pages into 3 different sections. So if you're taking pages in a notebook, for instance, as you sit your lectures, you might, for instance, divide it up into 3 areas like you see here. So on the right-hand side, you see the note-taking area, which is your notes about what the lecturer is talking about. So it's describing what they say. Then in the left-hand column, you have your Q column, and that's where you ask yourself your own questions and where you point out when you're confused or when you need to research more about this particular topic, or when you're making connections between ideas and you're saying, hey, this is similar to that other idea. Then consider making a summary of the whole lecture so that you have a very quick reference point to go back to see where was that idea talked about in which lecture again. And that summary can also help you to very quickly summarize what you do and don't understand from that lecture and how to go ahead and find out more about it. You can do a similar thing with printing out your notes from the lecture slides. So you could, for instance, print out the lecture slides with notes attached and have a section on the margins where you write down what are your own questions. And in the notes sections, well, you've already got the slides there. So you might supplement them with additional notes from the lecture itself. You could also write a summary section at the top or the bottom of the page. The key thing to do is to think about how you're going to compile those notes all together, because you'll have individual sets of notes from your weekly lectures, your tutorials, and your readings, and the extra questions that you do in preparation for your exam. So every week you might have multiple sets of notes, but the ideal thing to do is to compile them so that you have a very concise summary, which can help you very quickly understand or remember what were those key points that you need to remind yourself of when it comes to preparing for the exam. So for each topic, you might compile all the different sets of notes that you have, write up a summary sheet for each of them, and then condense that into one main master summary sheet where you have a course summary in its entirety, so that you have the overall key points of the whole course just on one page. And that can be quite useful for open book exams, for instance, to help you find the relevant information quickly so that you have a bit of an index as to where to find that information. And if you're only allowed a certain number of pages in the exam itself, that can help you quickly find the material. So this wraps up the first part of thinking about before the exam. The following video talks about what to do when it's closer to the exam, so 1 or 2 weeks out from the exam.